Longsword, the most popular weapon in the latest Monster Hunter titles. Fast attacks, fluid combos, and an elegant style that will make you dance with your foes. But maybe you didn't know that Longsword went through lots of adjustments throughout the years, resulting in a drastic change from its original design. Hello everyone, it's me Peppo. Today we will dive into the history and evolution of this amazing weapon throughout the generations. Probably not many of you know the origin of this weapon and how it changed over time, so just sit back and enjoy this short story I'm about to tell you. But before that, let me show you guys the Royal Order bags collection from the collaboration between TomTok and Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, which is today's sponsor of this video. Based on the Kingdom's Knights of Elgato, this bag comes with the classic combination of black, white, gold and red as the base commander set of the game. The Royal Order's link bags come in 3 different sizes: small, medium and large, with a total capacity of respectively 4, 7 and 10 liters. We can find 2 convenient quick access pockets, one on the front and one on the back. The middle part is divided into multiple internal pockets for electronic devices. The medium and large models have also an extra pocket for even more space. Overall, this link bag is made of high quality materials, including the zippers and the buckles. The second model I want to show you guys now is the accessory bag. Different from the previous link model, this one has a practical handle on the top so you can easily carry or hang it anywhere. The internal pocket is divided into 5 different compartments. One of these is perfectly made for carrying the Nintendo Switch, with a W-shaped padding that protects it from being scratched or crashed. What's more, there is also a dedicated card with 20 tiny pockets ideal for carrying game or memory cards. Last but not least, let me introduce the Rise and Sunbreak patches that you can easily attach to the front side of the Royal Order bags. The Rise collection includes the Palico and the Palimon stickers with the original Kamura gear, but also includes the flagship monster of Rise, Magnamalo. The Sunbreak collection also contains the 2 body stickers but geared with the iconic Malzeno armor. In fact, the 3rd sticker this time is not other than the flagship of Sunbreak, Malzeno. These patches are just like the talismans that brave hunters need, and add that elegant touch to the Royal Order bags that makes them look even more handsome. With these Royal Order design bags and these adorable stickers, you are now ready to take on the fiercest monsters in Sunbreak. Thanks to TomTok for sponsoring this video. You can buy the Royal Order's link and the accessory bag as well as the Rise and Sunbreak patches on the first link in the description. And now let's go back to the video. This is the evolution of Longsword in the Monster Hunter series. Longsword, Tachi in Japanese, was not originally in Monster Hunter. You might find it strange, but in the first generation there were only 7 weapons: Greatsword, Sword and Shield, Dual Blades, Hammer and Lance for Blade Master, and Light and Heavy Bowgun for Gunner. However, among the Greatsword we could find certain blades that, later in 2nd gen, would become a separate category weapon, that is Longsword. The Iron Katana, the Eager Cleaver and even the Divine Slasher already appeared in the first Monster Hunter, but they were just Greatswords, they didn't even have the iconic sheath. Longsword officially appeared in the series 2 years later, with Monster Hunter DOS, released in 2006 only in Japan. In the West, the Longsword first appeared in Monster Hunter Freedom 2, released in 2007, as you can also see from the official cover of the game for the PSP. Some Longswords in this generation come directly as an upgrade from Greatswords. This weapon is where Longsword originated from. Only later, with the next generations, this weapon got its own clear weapon tree, completely separated from the Greatsword. In 2nd gen, including Monster Hunter DOS, Freedom 2, and its G expansion, Freedom Unite, Longsword had just 5 attacks: the Step Slash, the Stab, the Upward Slash, the Phase Slash only backward, and the Spirit Combo, which included Spirit Blade 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. These attacks consume your Spirit Gauge in exchange for higher damage output and grant ESP, which is the ability that prevents your weapon from bouncing, later known as Mind's Eye. This weapon, like in the new titles, worked around the Spirit Gauge, which, however, couldn't be leveled up originally, because Spirit Roundslash hadn't been implemented yet. There was only the colorless Spirit Bar. Once you filled up the gauge, the bar started to flash and you received a Sharpness buff, which in other words is also a damage buff, of 12% plus 10 raw attack, which lasted for 30 seconds. What's more, the passive depletion of the spirit will stop as long as the bar flashes. Dodging with Longsword was also pretty difficult back then. There was no lateral Fade Slash, and you didn't have access to any counter of course, which means the only way to dodge was either by having good positioning or by rolling. Big changes arrived with the third generation, which started with Monster Hunter Tri and continued with Portable Third and eventually Tri Ultimate. With Monster Hunter Tri, Longsword got its tree entirely separated from Greatsword, but most importantly, it received new adjustments that we still find nowadays in the latest titles. The biggest change is the addition of the Spirit Gauge levels. A new attack has been added, the Spirit Round Slash, which makes the Spirit Gauge level up every time this new attack lands. The Spirit Round Slash can only be executed as the last attack of the Spirit Blade combo. There are no shortcuts, so you have to start with the Spirit Blade first, continue with Spirit Blade second, third, and lastly the Round Slash. Leveling up the Spirit Gauge is essential for dealing higher damage. Each level gives a damage buff, which in Monster Hunter Tri is respectively 5, 10, and 30% in white, yellow, and red gauge. White and yellow gauges don't expire, meaning that you can keep them forever. Nevertheless, once you reach the red gauge, you have 1 minute of time until the red gauge color disappears. Then you will have to start from scratch building up the Spirit Gauge levels again, unless you land another Spirit Round Slash before it expires, resetting the 1 minute timer and so being able to keep the red gauge for another minute. The other important change in Tri is the addition of the lateral Fade Slash. From now on, Longsword users have a new way to reposition themselves and so dodge the monster attacks by moving on the side with the Fade Slash. What's more, in Monster Hunter Tri and only in this game, this move can be performed without the need for any previous attack, allowing the hunter to reposition on the spot. This little gimmick was later removed, unfortunately. Lastly, another unique feature of Monster Hunter Tri's Longsword is how the Spirit Bar works once completely filled. This time you gain a sharpness buff of 13%, and once you fully charge the bar, you will not consume it anymore until the bar stops flashing, which again is 30 seconds like in Freedom Unite. This allows the user to spam Spirit Blade attacks without being worried about the Spirit Bar, making it easier to level up the gauge. In 2010, Monster Hunter Portable 3rd gets released in Japan. In the West, we will need to wait 3 years for the Monster Hunter Tri sequel, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Some important adjustments have been introduced with these new games. First of all, how the Spirit Gauge works got adjusted. Each color now will expire at some point. White lasts 5 minutes, yellow 3 minutes, and red 1 minute. Every time the Spirit Gauge level expires, it will revert to its previous level, so from red to yellow, yellow to white, and white to 0. Once the Spirit Bar is full and it starts flashing, you normally consume it with Spirit Blade attacks. Red Spirit Gauge buff got reduced from 30 to 20%. You can also see now the gauge color level decreasing over time. In Tri it was fixed, white and yellow didn't have a timer, only red had it, but it was not visible. Tri Ultimate brings these same adjustments introduced in Portable 3rd. In 2013, Monster Hunter 4 gets released only in Japan, and its expansion, Monster Hunter 4G, published as Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate in the West, will be released in 2014 in Japan first and 1 year later in Europe and America. Once more, little changes were made to the Longsword. The Spirit Gauge got reworked again. Whenever the Spirit Gauge level color expires, it will revert to its colorless gauge, meaning you have to start over building up the Spirit Gauge. However, each level duration has also been increased. White gauge now lasts 6 minutes and 30, yellow 4 minutes and 30, and red 2 minutes. On top of that, the Spirit Gauge level values are now attack multipliers and not damage buffs anymore, which means you can see their effects directly on your attack status. A new attack has also been introduced, the Spirit Jumping Slash. This upward slash can be done after a Fade Slash, which can then be followed up with the Spirit Blade 3rd, resulting in a shortcut to perform the Spirit Round Slash. Before the 4th gen, the only attack you could do immediately after a Fade Slash was a poke, while now with the addition of this new attack, Longsword gains more fluidity and new combos. The 4th generation also introduced the mount for the first time, which means you can now attack in mid-air by jumping off from ledges. With Longsword you can perform 2 different attacks in mid-air, a simple downward chop or a spirit attack, which depending on the gauge level can hit 1 or 2 times, and after it you can follow it up with a Spirit Blade 3rd, gaining another shortcut to reach the Spirit Round Slash. In 2015, Monster Hunter Cross was released in Japan, and 1 year later its western version Monster Hunter Generations. Monster Hunter Gen introduced a unique moveset for each weapon, called Hunting Styles. There are 4 of them: Kill Style, which is basically for Ultimate's moveset, Striker Style, which is pretty much Freedom Unite moveset, Aerial Style, a new way of combat that lets you jump on monsters, focusing more on aerial attacks with a new shortcut for the Spirit Round Slash. And lastly, the Adept Style, which introduced for the first time the Dividing Slash and the Spirit Reckoning finisher, but only after a successful evasive roll. Monster Hunter Gen also introduces new techniques called hunting arts. Some of these arts are shared among all the weapons, like absolute evasion, while others are unique for each category. With the addition of these hunting arts, Longsword receives 3 new attacks. Sakura Slash, a double hitting horizontal forward slash that levels up the spirit gauge if lands. Unhinged Spirit, which grants infinite spirit gauge for 30, 60 or 90 seconds based on its level, and Critical Juncture, the very first counter of Longsword that automatically activates on an incoming attack, striking a massive blow. The arts comes with a gauge that must be filled up before being able to use such technique. Each of these arts have 3 levels that further increase their effects and can be unlocked by further progressing into the game. In 2017, Monster Hunter Double Cross get released in Japan first, and 1 year later in the West with the name of Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. This game further increases the number of hunting styles and hunting arts, adding 2 new styles, the Alchemy and the Brave style. The former is not that popular. Put it simply, you gain a special bar that, depending on the amount of time you shake it, can give you special items that will make your life easier hunting down the monsters. While the Brave style, which is most definitely the most famous and powerful style ever, gives the Longsword a new counter. Whenever you time the Spirit Blade first, you will pull off a guard point-like counter that deals massive damage, which then you can chain with a Dividing Slash and the Spirit Reckoning finisher. Brave style comes with a new blue spirit gauge color, which boosts your attack by 18%. Regarding the hunting arts, Longsword gets 1 additional technique called Devouring Demon, which boosts your attack by 10, 20 or 30% depending on its level at the cost of draining your health over time, but can be restored by landing hits. In 2018, Monster Hunter World gets released globally. The 5th generation has started. Longsword receives 2 new attacks, the Spirit Thrust, which leads to Helmbreaker, the strongest Longsword attack that drops 1 gauge level if executed, and the Force Slash, a counter that, if timed correctly, gives a shortcut to land the Spirit Round Slash immediately after it. The Spirit Gauge also gets some adjustments. Filling up the gauge now doesn't grant any buff, and the bar will not flash anymore once full. The flash of the bar now indicates a passive regeneration of the Spirit Gauge over time, for example after landing a Helmbreaker. White, yellow and red gauges now last respectively 3, 2 and 1 minute, but the attack buff remains the same, 5, 10 and 20%. Ward also adds a new aerial attack for Longsword that can be performed only when sliding down a slope and can be chained with a Spirit Round Slash. A new attack also has been added at the end of the mount. Now you can perform a mount finisher that consists of 5 hits. In 2019, Ward expansion, Iceborne, gets released and Longsword receives a new move, the Spatial Sheath. This sheathing stance can either give access to the Yai Slash, a double drawing attack that refills the Spirit Gauge over time, or the Yai Spirit Slash, a new powerful counter that consists of 2 hits, with the second hit being delayed. Iceborne also introduces the Clutch Glow, a new tool that makes it possible to tenderize the monster parts by performing a specific attack when the hunter grabs onto the monster using the Slinger. In 2021, Monster Hunter Rise is released with the introduction of the Switch skills, swappable moves in a weapon's moveset accessible via the new action called Switch Skill Swap. Any weapon in Rise gets 2 Switch Skill scrolls, red and blue. Each scroll has 3 slots and each slot has 2 moves you can choose. For Longsword we get the Drawn Double Slash, a new strong double drawing attack that substitutes the Step Slash. Spirit Reckoning returns from Generations and substitutes the Spirit Round Slash combo, which means Spirit Blade 3rd turns into a Dividing Slash and Spirit Round Slash into a Spirit Reckoning. Sealpine Sakura Slash also returns from Monster Hunter Gen, but this time it becomes a Sealpine attack linked to the usage of the Wirebox. The same applies to the Soaring Kick, which substitutes the Spirit Thrust from Ward, and depending on the input can be followed up with a Helmbreaker or a Plunging Thrust. Lastly, the 3rd Sealpine attack of Longsword is Serene Pose, a counter similar to a Critical Juncture of Monster Hunter Gen that activates automatically on an incoming attack. Because of the addition of the Wyvern Riding, which substitutes the traditional mount introduced in the 4th generation, weapons including Longsword don't have the mount finisher anymore. What's more, hunters cannot perform any aerial attack while sliding down a slope like in Ward and Iceborne, although the sliding animation still exists in Rise. In 2022, the expansion for Rise, Sunbreak, kicks in and Longsword receives 3 new Switch skills. Sacred Sheath, which gives access to the new Sacred Sheath counter, or the Sacred Sheath Focus, which is followed by the Spirit Release Slash, the new most powerful Longsword attack that, depending on the gauge level, can hit up to 3 times, striking a massive final blow. The following 2 Switch skills are new Sealpine attacks. We get a new counter, the Tempered Spirit Blade, that can level up the gauge as soon as you time it correctly, without the need to hit anything. And the Harvest Moon, a sealband ring that grants infinite spirit gauge, like the Hunting Art Unhinged Spirit in Monster Hunter Gen, but also adds additional hits on successful counters performed inside this circle. Last but not least, spirit gauge levels buffs get adjusted in Sunbreak. The last time this happened was in Portable Third, when the red gauge buff got tuned down from 30% to 20%, keeping the white and yellow gauge at 5 and 10%. With Rise expansion, however, white, yellow and red gauge now gives respectively a 4, 8 and 12% attack boost. With Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, the 5th gen comes to an end, and now it's about time for the 6th generation. So, how will the longsword change? I can't wait to see how longsword will develop in Monster Hunter 6. And this was the story behind the evolution of the longsword in Monster Hunter. Now tell me, what's your favorite longsword? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'd like to thank Glucosio for providing me with Monster Hunter Gen footage and Vycery for the Gen U clips. Like always, special thanks to my YouTube members, the Longsword Legends, who keep supporting my channel, Di Fuego and Ney, Daniel Incarico and René Villeca. See you soon, bye!